This is
Make it plain.
Make it plain.
MIP
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson.
Make it plain.
Get woke.
Folks, all week I've been with the Poor People's Campaign for a Moral March in West Virginia that will culminate in a march on Joe Manchin's office in Martinsburg, West Virginia tomorrow, standing up for living wages, an end to poverty, voting rights, and environmental justice. We want to talk about all of that and what's transpired this week. But it just so happened yesterday we were on the march in the rain at around the time Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson was confirmed to the Supreme Court. The co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign here with us, the Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris.
You out here leading us on a march on an historic day, the confirmation of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court. How do you feel about that? What does it mean to actually be marching on the day she's confirmed?
Well, to have not just the first black woman to be confirmed as a Supreme Court justice, but to have someone who's been a public defender, someone who has actually defended the people without resources. To have a person like that on the highest court in the land, who are going to hear cases around voting rights, around the right to women's health, around wages and unionization. I mean, we have some really important cases that are always coming up, but right now to then have someone who has the ear and has been with the people, that really matters, and it's connected to why we're marching here in West Virginia, because people have been hurting for too long and don't have a justice system that really impacts, have a justice system that criminalizes and makes it very legal to legislate injustice.
We'll come back to 4 miles
and to have someone in there that sees another way is really important.
And not to mention, people think of the Supreme Court dealing with civil rights and voting rights, but it also deals with issues that have to do with sentencing disparity. We just talked about the prison. We know women's reproductive rights are on the line, women's health rights, period. And then environmental rights as well. We're here dealing with the environment also, so that people don't get as much press, but Supreme Court deals with those cases too.
That's right. All of those issues. This June we will see, a bunch. We'll see Roe most likely up. We will see some really important cases that will determine, how life is not just for the next couple of years, but what generations of people are going to be impacted by when it comes to poverty, when it comes to the environment, when it comes to wages, when it comes to voting rights, when it comes to health care, all of this, and it matters. It has an impact on communities like this.
One of the Poor People's Campaign leaders in West Virginia is 80-year-old Jean Evans Moore. Her grandfather worked in the coal mine in the 1920s. He earned between $2.50 and $5 a day, blasting, loosing, loading, and hauling at least 5 tons of coal every day. She was raised in West Virginia. She has come back to West Virginia at this stage in her life to work with the Poor People's Campaign to seek justice in West Virginia. But she's a proud black woman today also because of the confirmation of Ketanji Brown Jackson. This is your home, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Today is an historic day. The first black woman is going to be confirmed for the Supreme Court. How do you feel about that?
She's probably, I don't know if she's in her 40s. I'm old enough to be her mama. No, I think not quite grandma, but it's like, it is exciting. It is exciting. I'm so happy for the younger people. I'm so happy for those little black girls who are able to see somebody that looks like them. And my complexion, her complexion, there's no question she's black. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's like, so they can see somebody that looks like them. In my education, most of my education, I never saw people that look like me in the books. There were no pictures of black folks.
Day 3 of the Moral March in West Virginia, as we all roads lead to Washington, D.C., June 18th. The Poor People's Campaign, mass poor people's low-wage workers assembly in Washington, D.C. But we're marching in West Virginia, of course, for an end to poverty, for living wages, for Joe Manchin to be held accountable, for voting rights, and to end environmental injustice and environmental racism. Reverend Robin Tanner is leading us on this march. I want to ask today, though, because this is an historic day, Robin, how does it feel to be marching on the same day Ketanji Brown Jackson is being confirmed to the U.S. Supreme Court?
Feels like we're marching toward our freedom, marching toward justice. I mean, it's been too long, right?
Yeah.
I guess.
We would not, if not for our history of marching, we wouldn't even have the first black woman or any woman Supreme Court justice, would we?
That's right, exactly. And also, I mean, the deep history that it's never one person, you know, of the long line, to your point, of women and freedom fighters that are all about Judge Brown's shoulders right now, you know?
On the march in West Virginia, but marching on an historic day. How are you all feeling, Sister Danielle, Sister Shalley, about this historic day and the confirmation of the first black woman on the Supreme Court?
I mean, this is a big day for generations of people who've been waiting to see true justice, right? And so I think this is the beginning of the possibility of a new era with the leadership and of Justice Brown on the Supreme Court. And we're here in West Virginia to make sure that everyone is doing everything possible to carry that forward. And so to carry this forward, to connect communities that are being polluted and poisoned and who are left behind by Senator Manchin and other elected officials who don't actually represent the interests of the people. We were at the prison today, the East Regional Prison. People were in there because of the opioid crisis, abandoned communities. And so there are a lot of questions remaining out there, and we need every institution on our side, which hasn't been so far. So this is a step in that direction, and the people are coming together for it.
Sister Danielle, how you feel about being out here and history being made at the same time?
Well, this march from Harper's Ferry to Martinsburg is a historical march for the state of West Virginia. From my understanding, this kind of march has not happened since over 40 years. And so now we're here doing this across the state, an historical moment today for Supreme Court Justice Brown Jackson. And it's especially for me as an African-American black woman, right? We've been downtrodden for so long, put on the back, discounted, and today Supreme Court Justice Brown Jackson has done the damn thing. And so we're excited for what's to come, especially for me with the ruling out of the abortion ruling ban that's before the Supreme Court today, that's coming out of Mississippi. Yeah. That's a Mississippi case. And so just to see what would happen with her being now on the Supreme Court Justice, as a Supreme Court Justice, is amazing.
Yeah. And Shalley, we think about Supreme Court a lot of times in terms of civil rights and voting rights, but it's dealt with health care. Mm-hmm. It's dealt with environmental issues. So it's a broad range of things that she can have an impact on, right?
Right. We cannot, I think we're counting on her, and the rest of the court to make sure the questions of political rights and economic rights stay together. To see the full extent of human rights that we've been fighting for.
That's right.
First woman of color on the Supreme Court, y'all.
That's right.
And from our sisters of color on this. Congratulations.
Yes, sisters of color.
That's right.
Congratulations. Here on the march as well with Lauren, Sister Lauren. Historic day. How you feeling about the confirmation of justice now? No longer judge. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I feel great. I'm exceptionally proud. In addition to being a black woman, she's incredibly qualified. And with a background as a public defender, I think she will have a much needed perspective on the court, and I look forward to see what she does.
Is this an inspiration to you, and do you think to black women and young black women everywhere?
Absolutely. You know, I was a little black girl, political nerd in Texas, and I didn't have a lot of people to look up to. I kind of had Donna Brazile and Condoleezza Rice, but not much else. And so to see the progress that's continually made in this space to the point that we see there is room for us in multiple avenues at these tables that must be filled, I think this is the first one, but we know not the last. I'm sure she'll be fantastic.
Is there a relationship between what we're doing here in West Virginia and the struggle it took to get her over the years on the Supreme Court?
Absolutely. I think that so much of what happens to the communities in West Virginia is that people who don't know them decide what they're capable of and decide the resources they are allowed to receive. And so what I also know in my story as a black woman is that we often enter spaces where people decide what we're capable of. And so to see Justice Jackson continue to persevere, continue to prevail, I think there's a direct correlation to the struggles we're having here in West Virginia and what's going on there.
More MIP right after this. The Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris, the Reverend Robin Tanner, Danielle Holmes, Lauren Zayu, and Shally Gupta Barnes, all women on this moral march in West Virginia, discussing the importance of Ketanji Brown Jackson. But you may be wondering how we got to West Virginia in the first place. Folks, we're here on the road from Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, to Martinsburg, West Virginia, with the Poor People's Campaign. We've been to West Virginia a number of times this year, marching, and this is a Selma to Montgomery style march from Harper's Ferry to Martinsburg, and here with two very special people who are playing a central role in this. First of all, a resident of West Virginia. She's one of our chief organizers and one of the co-chairs here in West Virginia, Pam Garrison, and also here with us, the policy director, did I have the title right? That's right. Of the Poor People's Campaign, Shally Gupta Barnes.
But let's start with Pam. Pam, why are we marching? Why are we back once again in West Virginia?
We're back in West Virginia because our senator has kind of put the spotlight on West Virginia. He's denied everything for the people, and he's took care of the Chamber of Commerce, and he's not served the people of West Virginia. Amen. We need a living wage. We need better. We need the Build Back Better. We need voting rights protection. We need our senator to step up and have some backbone and do what we sent him there to do. Work for us, not the Chamber of Commerce.
Why Harper's Ferry to Martinsburg this time instead of Charleston?
Well, we want Senator Manchin to know that all of West Virginia, we're united from north, south, east, and west, that we are coming together, and that if he is not going to represent the people of West Virginia, then we have to do change. There has to be change. We need better. We can do better.
Shally Gupta Barnes, we're going to end up at some point. He's got a coal plant in Martinsburg. Is that the case?
No. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Yeah, well,
I didn't know if you knew.
go ahead. You should speak to
No, he has a coal plant in Grantstown, West Virginia, that he fires up with waste coal. So it's the worst coal that nobody wants, and it's the cheapest, and it's the dirtiest. But just like our senator, he's a dirty boy, and he loves to make money on what other people throw away. He makes money, but he doesn't make money on people. He only makes money on coal.
Yeah. Tell our audience your name, brother.
John Christensen, Eastern Panhandle Central Labor Council president.
Amen. So you say he doesn't make money on people. How are the workers treated there?
Well, the workers are coming up. I mean, things are starting to happen, but the people of West Virginia are fleeing at an alarming rate. They're leaving West Virginia. There's more people dying and leaving than there are born. So we have a negative growth.
Yeah.
Negative population growth.
But so Shally, talk to us, because we had a big announcement the other day about the effect COVID has had on poor and low-wage people. Talk to us a little bit about that, if you would.
We looked at county-level data on poverty, on income, on race, on COVID, and we found that overall, poorer counties have suffered twice the deaths of richer counties. But at different phases of the pandemic, that twice went up to 3, 4, even 5 times the deaths of richer counties. So this is a tragedy that we are only beginning to wrap our minds around, and it's an indictment of a system that refuses to look at the poor and look at poverty.
Do we have numbers on West Virginia itself?
So we looked at county level information. We didn't kind of put that together up to the state, but we did look at Mingo County, which is, over 95% white. It's the center, this is where the historic Battle of Blair Mountain took place, historic labor struggle of coal miners. And in Mingo County, Mingo County is one of the poorest counties in the nation, and its death rate is among the highest 25% of counties in the country.
Wow. And what you've been able to expose, the mainstream media hasn't talked about, the government hasn't even acknowledged it, has it?
Well, they just haven't been collecting data or putting it out on poverty. So no, it's been a blind spot, and it's again kind of a tragic blind spot. Meaning, a tragedy is something that didn't need to happen that way.
Yeah.
Right. This did not need to happen. If only we paid attention to the poor. We paid attention to the 140 million people who were poor before this crisis. The 87 million people who didn't have health care or were uninsured. If we paid attention to this, then maybe this didn't have to be as bad as it was.
Thanks for getting woke and listening to Make It Plain. As always, perform an act of kindness on behalf of an elder or young person. Write a letter to a sister or brother who just so happens to find her or himself incarcerated. Offer libations to the ancestors upon whose sturdy shoulders we all now stand. And above all, give thanks to the God of your understanding by whatever name you call her and him. All God asks of us is that we give each other love. Thanks for giving MIP love. And please remember to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. If all hearts and minds are clear, it has been made plain.